Adrian, thanks very much for joining us. It would be great to catch up, I guess, on what you're seeing in the Polish logistics market at the moment, particularly in terms of, I guess, the trends.
I think the situation is quite similar than in other European countries. So basically, there is still a demand for the leased space. We still are receiving a lot of offers from potential tenants. However, what we can see is a trend that negotiations of the lease agreements are slightly longer than it used to be a few months ago. There might be a few reasons for that. First reason is that we are all looking at the costs. So basically, our tenants, when they are negotiating, they want to make sure that the cost of the services, cost of the warehouse will not decrease, or they want to have a cap on increase on service charge. So this is something what makes the negotiation slightly longer. Also, the situation that prices are increasing. Every company needs to look each penny at each side on both sides. Yeah, so they have to make decisions based on very detailed analysis. However, demand is still relatively good. We can see more requests for offers and more demand on production area rather than the typical logistic. And because of that, there is more technical issues related with it. We have to provide more detailed information, more detailed analysis of the cost of the tenant improvements. There are some administration issues with it, which makes the negotiation slightly longer. However, this kind of leases are much more, I would say, interesting. They are longer. The rents are slightly higher. So these are very interesting for us as a developer as well.
And in terms of the capital market side, obviously they've been slow across Europe in terms of activity in the first half of the year. I guess what's the position in Poland, and do you see that picking up?
The same is happening here in Poland as in other parts of Europe. Literally, there were like 2 transactions in the first half of the year in Poland. There are much more transactions, much more investments going on. However, from a month or 2, we can see some increased interest. So there are investment funds coming to us. We have some first negotiations. We can see some interest in our project. So we can see that probably the situation may be going slightly better towards end of the year. And we are all expecting that the new year will bring some sort of a stabilization.
And Adrian, how important are factors like resilience, future-proofing, because they're big topics of conversation in the market more generally, but are they big topics as well, particularly there in Poland for the occupiers and the investors?
ESG is one of the top subjects, especially when we are having negotiations with investment funds, but also with the tenants. Also, everything depends on the type of tenant, maybe type of their activity, and maybe size of the tenant as well. Basically, the bigger company, the more interested in sustainable development. In our specification, our buildings, we are providing ecological solutions, saving water, electricity, etc. But now we can see the companies are also focusing on the social part. So basically, they are interested if our buildings will be prepared for their employees. So if we can provide a good facility for their employees to work in, they will feel comfortable. They will like the place where they work. What is quite important from the investment side or capital markets point of view and banking, what we can see is G element. So basically the governance. LCube has got our ESG strategy. So basically we've got our policies regarding supplies, regarding choosing the general contractors, ethical values, etc. So we can see the increased interest in it. And we know that every building we are now providing to be future-proof, we have to include all the elements, even this S and G, which sometimes it's not maybe something what goes with the building, but it goes more with the companies. We have to provide policies, and we have to prove that we are having them in place.
Really interesting to see you mention there the S part of that coming into the logistics sector there. Thanks very much for joining us, Adrian.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.